So our intro is not proper for this video again. And again, I said this, I said this will probably be maybe even a 10-part video series on this. It may be a live video that I have to do in regards to this issue because it boils my blood. And the reason why it boils my blood is because me personally, I've worked with kids before. I've coached kids. I've tried to get I've tried to get these kids to an athletic level where they can get a scholarship. And I know that in general, as Islam says, that every child is born on the fitra, it is their parents that make them um, something else. So when we look at the E-Stein files now, and the rabbit hole gets deeper and deeper and deeper, we now see that the very people that we're supposed to be against are the very people that in Islam, I get this, we're not supposed to have suspicion. They say that, oh, avoid suspicion. But now my suspicion was right. Because now it's coming out that number one, Mr. Epstein was in cahoots with many Muslims. Those Muslims being the Muslims being higher ups, the big wigs. You have officials from Qatar in the Epstein files. Now you have an official from Bahrain in the Epstein files. Now you have bin Salman in the Epstein files. And of course you have the Emiratis in the Epstein files as well. So the problem is not only did they infiltrate the religion, but they were allowed to innovate in the religion. I didn't know this, but Jeffrey Epstein was actually financing and backing liberal Muslims. We also will have to do another video in regards to his racism, his blatant racism towards a certain demographic of people, which I shared the skin color of, but not only the racism towards them, but using them as mules to fund his and fuel his demonic nature. Now, it must be said that there was this one Moroccan guy on Instagram who said that Jeffrey Epstein was financing liberal Muslims. And this goes to the point where I said that one of the most dangerous Muslim is the Wyatt convert, because that Wyatt convert is not sincere. All he or she wants to do is infiltrate the religion in a way that the isms perpetuate into the religion and turns it into something it's not. Be it the feminism, be it the liberalism, be it even, unfortunately, the transgenderism as well. You actually saw a Muslim, a Wyatt who claimed to convert to Islam, who was a transgender, he who went to a she, wearing hijab and everything. So when we see these things, one can only wonder how much more is there. Then you also have the fact that the Mamdani guy, his mom was in cahoots in it the whole time. But then you have Muslims going up to bat for this guy, vouching for him. Now, another thing that's happening as well Um, and this is why I find it very, very questionable, and I find it very, very counterproductive for um, a uh, for Muslims to get involved in Westminster politics, because the thing is that they already fear what you have to bring. Therefore, they're not going to let you show. They're not going to allow you to show an example of how it works. Therefore, you're only wasting time in being with these people in these situations. So, one thing that needs to be said about this whole thing, I don't know the extent of the liberalism he was financing. I don't know the extent of it, basically. But what I do know is that I don't, I, I never put it past these people when I saw these converts and they looked no different from a regular day-to-day person. Their demeanors did not match what it means to be like, what it means to be on truth. And I kind of started noticing that. I'm like, yo, what the heck? Like, in this person, and the thing is, I get if you're coming out of what they call Jahiliyyah. I get if you're coming out of Jahiliyyah and there's still traces of Jahiliyyah on you, but you're slowly but surely reforming yourself, reforming your character. But they weren't even trying to reform their character. They were just trying to spread Jahiliyyah amongst the Muslims, you know? So, with this being said, um, with this being said, the um, the bottom line is this: when it comes to gender relations, we are pretty much infiltrated at this point in time. If you are still in the West, me, I'm observing what's going on in the West and I'm just reporting on it. Okay, not as someone who is going to return to the West, not as someone who is interested or concerned for the West, but as someone who's making sense of things and making sense of things that may come. Because if you have these people on the list, these Gulf people on the list, then there is a possibility that the countries of those Gulf people are now compromised as well. And, to be honest, I've been seeing it. I hate to say it, but the whole intention of this twisted, sick thing was to spread this thing all over the world. So it shouldn't surprise you if some of your favorite quote unquote hijabi influencers or whatever have been compromised. It also shouldn't surprise you that if you see a white convert, just understand that most likely he or she is a double agent. Because a sincere person is going to go ahead and go into reading, learning their religion, learning it soundly. They're not going to go to shake TikTok. They're not going to go to shake Google. They're going to sincerely seek something out, meaning that it may not even be in person, but it may be an online course which they know this person is trustworthy, this person can do what's necessary, to spread the religion or convey the religion in a proper way. Now, it needs to be said there, it needs to be said that, for example, one of our sheikhs, who, actually, he actually went very, very hard on these people, but, I can't, I, what people I'm talking about. You know what people I'm talking about, basically. But the people I'm talking about, let me see. The people I'm talking about, the small hats, Al McGilly went hard on them, rahimahullah. But who else Al McGilly, rahimahullah, went hard on is he went hard on the scholars who are evil. He also went hard on leadership, which is evil. Now, in terms of the scholars that were evil, he said that you should not take from a scholar whose words and deeds do not match up with their actions, and who also are not really sound with their words and deeds, meaning that they're not really, you don't see them like classically trained, or they're lacking in certain aspects of scholarship. Now, if he said this about scholars, what do you think he would say about people, okay, who are not scholars, who transmit the religion with no knowledge, who innovate in the religion, and who say things to basically, in essence, kind of invent a new religion? When you really look at it, it's kind of like a new religion that they're inventing. What would you say to that? And I hate to say it, but most of it is women, and it's men who are complicit in the nonsense as well. What do you think he would say today to them? Or what do you think he would do to them today if he was living? Some may say, oh, he was living at a different time, but he was dealing with the same things that we're dealing with right now. So regardless of the time he's living in, it still doesn't matter. So what needs to be said now is what can be done with this information that we have found out about Epstein and the like thereof. Therefore, with this being said, we must be diligent. And what I will say is this. This is my opinion about what we should do. And I'm going to end this video with this. We need, for example, spaces to convey the right religion. We need spaces which will convey the religion based on the Quran, based on the Sunnah, based on the Ijma of the scholars, based on the four madahibs. We need people who specialize in each and everything. And we need sincerity from those who want to learn. Because I will say this about the Orthodox Islam, that the Orthodox real Islam goes against every single feminist, every single misandrist, every single white knight simp, every single hijabi baddie, every single boss babe narrative that is presented to us right now. And also goes against the red pill narrative as well. Now, don't get me wrong, certain talking points of the quote unquote red pill, there is some alignment with that in terms of being a good man, being a man of dignity, being a man of, you know, high caliber man. Don't get me wrong. I would say that there's some talking points with parallels to feminism, but the way that they are presenting feminism is not parallel to anything in Islam pertaining to the rights of women. Hence lies the problem. They're not trying to, you know, be women. They're trying to outdo men and become men, in essence. And this is where lies the problem. But, you know, the more that comes out, the more I'm going to talk about these things. As a matter of fact, in the Epstein files, there was, I don't know, one royal prince or something that he was going to give his daughter in marriage to Donald Trump. So here you have someone who's supposed to be an ambassador for Islam giving his daughter to a non-Muslim, which means the marriage would be invalid anyway. It wouldn't even be a marriage. At the end of the day, Islamically, it wouldn't be a marriage. Hence why probably now you're going to see an uptick of Muslim women, but they're already doing it. Rest assured, they're already doing it. A lot of Muslim women are marrying, quote unquote, marrying non-Muslim men. So you're already seeing an uptick in that anyway. So with that being said, you know, I don't know what to do right now except for, prepare for more things to come out. And with those things coming out, I'll have to report on them. But anyhow, Foolish signing out. Leave your thoughts and leave your comments. Unjarana.